Hello, everybody.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. Oh, hi.
Oh.
You might notice she looks very fashionable, and I look like I might have just worked out.
But this is the thing. Like, I am so into themes.
Yeah, you're a very
Theater
good, like,
kid.
theme party. Yeah, it's a theater kid in you.
Theater kid.
I, like, totally spaced out. I'm not that person.
I'm not the
I'm not a
perfect person.
However, I can look at everything I'm wearing right now and, like, determine the decade that it came from. So
I think you're cute as fuck.
I'm a little bit like Jane Fonda 80s with the bike shorts and these socks.
Yes.
Can you guys see me?
Not even just Jane Fonda. I feel like this is also very, I want to say Pamela Anderson.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was
It's like
kind
a
of like a
90s
little hang up.
vibe.
It was a 90s vibe.
Maybe, no,
90s is my favorite.
I got it. You know what those remind me of?
Got it. What?
Fuck, what's her name? She was in Bye Bye Birdie. She dated Elvis Presley for a while. Redhead. Actress from the 60s.
I have no concept.
Anne. Anne? Oh my God. Anne is one of her names. It's like her middle name or her first name. Anyway, Anne. Shout out to Anne. She's dead.
Anne of Green Gables?
So she was like a 60s like fashion icon. She was a gorgeous actress. If I showed you a picture, you'd be like, oh, I've seen her face somewhere.
Yeah.
But she would wear socks like that. And she'd be like, it's like very girl
I love them. Yeah, they're like my favorite thing.
But what are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about the evolution of women's fashion as it pertains to the women's empowerment movement, women's status in society over time. So this episode is really close to me because I love fashion and I have had to grapple over the time in my life with, over my entire life with accepting that my love for fashion does not make me a shallow person, which sounds stupid, but it also really was like the messaging that I got in a lot of childhood and just in general, you know, with being a woman, where if you like to be stylish, then you're not taken as seriously, and it's just the sad truth.
If you like to wear makeup, if you like to just take care of yourself.
Yeah, if you just like, and it's like, can be interpreted as being vain or wanting approval and for some people, that is what it is used for. Sure. But it is like such a self-expression and an appreciation of the artistry of like having a body and being in this world and like the way you live. It's always been that for me. And I grew up in a family, a brother and a dad who obviously don't care about makeup. And then my mom wears not a stitch of makeup. I found out that like when she met my dad and like in college, she would wear some, but my whole life, I mean, I like the black sheep in my family in that realm where I was like, I cared about that stuff and I loved it. And I had no one in my family understood that why. And it felt a little bit like, I don't know if the word is judged for it, definitely not understood for it. And then I think growing up, because I imagine when you're a parent and you are concerned about how your child is going to end up, that's your job, is to raise them. So I can imagine if your 10-year-old daughter wants to wear makeup, it might be a concern because you don't want them to think that they have to be pretty. You don't want them to think that that's what beauty means. So there are these concerns as a parent. But there wasn't that to me. Like it was self-expression and it was artistry. And I know for a lot of people it is, and especially women. And so this episode to me, because it's like people tend to think of things as disjointed, like fashion trends are fashion trends and history is history and current events it's all tied together, especially when it comes to women's place in the world, in our culture.
It's also like women, it's an armor for women as well.
Yes.
Like we've been, the way fashion has been represented, we'll go into that too. It's either been a source of trying to make us submissive or less than, and then we kind of turn it on the head and we use it as a form of like rebellion.
Yes. And then women come at each other and say, like there was from second wave feminism to third wave feminism, there was a disconnect of like second wave feminists were coming down on third wave feminists for wearing lipstick and high heels because that was a tool of the patriarchy. That's not feminist. And then the third wave feminists were saying, no, I'm reclaiming, if I want to wear lipstick and heels, I should be able to. That's feminist. That's feminism. So there's all these things that women end up coming at each other for too, where it just, I don't know. It's whatever. It's the snake that eats its own head kind of thing, but, or tail.
Yeah.
But there's a quote that I love that I read in Vogue one time, and I wrote this down because it was just, I thought it was beautiful. It says, in each inch that comes in and out of a sleeve or a waist or a butt or a hip, there's so much implied about social, political, and cultural history. And it really, really is true. Like every hemline that comes up and then hemlines go down and then a waist goes in and it comes out. And it just says so much.
I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And history repeating itself too.
Yes, always. So there is and always has been an undeniable link between women's fashion and their status and place in society. And this is the thing, whether the styles of the time affirmed women's place as inferior to men, because a lot of styles did affirm that place and the fact that we should submit and we should be for men's pleasure only. So whether the styles are enforcing that or whether the styles are serving as a powerful tool for women to rebel against the patriarchy, fashion has always made a statement, intentional or not, that reflects the times and the women's place. So whether it's a time where women are controlling the narrative or we are, which we never fully are, but we try. And so control is a big issue, honestly. So the first thing I thought of was corsets, obviously, and foot binding, like traditional Chinese foot binding that they would do. And it's like these all around the globe, these fashion has proven a perfect visual metaphor for the societal restrictions women have faced. And it's across cultures. It is not just our culture. It's like in Victorian times, the hourglass ideal evolved. The waistline began to rise up to just under the breasts, which placed the boobs front and center and made the empire waist kind of like became a thing. And the tight lacing trend of the times for corsets put women's bodies under immense pressure to the point of it becoming a legitimate health concern. And male doctors were even starting to warn women to lace looser because it's like affecting your physical health. Yeah. So some doctors, they were encouraging women to lace more lightly. And there was something, this is so appalling. And an angry woman whose doctor had recommended that she lace lightly because it was causing some true health concerns for her body. She was so mad that he would tell her to do that. This is documented letter. She wrote, she boasted a 16-inch waist, first of all. Let me tell you that the brand that I work for, we make belly chains and all this stuff. And 23-inch waist is so small, no one buys those. That's a 23-inch waist. So a 16-inch waist. This woman boasted a 16-inch waist to her doctor. And this is in a letter to him, she stated, if the various organs are prevented from taking a certain form or direction, they will accommodate themselves to any other with perfect ease. She was like, do not tell me to lace looser. But then, and I was thinking about this and I'm like, okay, so then women are like fighting the battles of the patriarchy for it because we've been conditioned to be like, no, don't tell me to lace looser for my own health. And I was like, why would, this is like counterproductive, but really it comes down to control because that's true. This tightly controlled garment. And the same with foot binding, ancient or traditional Chinese foot binding is abhorrent. It is so disturbing. Yep. And this tightly controlled garment both reflects the control men and society had over women, but also ironically gave women something to latch onto and feel in control of. Mm-hmm. The tighter they could lace and the smaller their waist was, the more valuable and enviable they perceived themselves to be.
But think about it. Not much has changed.
No, it hasn't.
You know what I mean? Like, as long as we have autonomy, and then we have those choices to want to kind of fuck with our bodies in that way, and just what it looks like now is surgery, BBLs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and the thing is, like, we are given, times have changed. Women, oh my God, we can own our own bank account now. Wow, like things have changed. We can vote. However, we are still the oppressed of the two sexes. And what that leads to is finding the area that you can control and going for that. And for some women, that means I'm not going to shave. I'm going to dress like a boy. I'm going to shave my head. And for some women, for the very same reason, their reaction is, I'm going to wear red lipstick and heels to the grocery store and I don't care. And no woman can tell another woman, in my eyes, like how that expression comes out.
Yep. It's so reductive. And
Yeah.
did you ever have, a quick side note, did you ever have like that kind of phase in high school where, or even middle school or whatever, growing up, where you would kind of feel like low key, like judge another girl? Like, and you were just like, fuck, I like,
would just be judgmental.
like I'll have like awful flashbacks of like prejudging a girl.
Oh yeah.
Based on, and it's like so fucked up.
It's really messed up. It's really messed up. And
you're not prepared for it either.
No, and we still do it. Like, let's be real. You know, you like still see somebody and you make assumptions about them. That's why when someone surprises you, the fact that you're even surprised means you made a prejudgment.
Yeah, exactly.
It happens. And women we are taught to kind of like be in competition with one another, because we're taught that there's not enough room for more than one of, if there's room for anyone, there's definitely not room for more than one woman at the table. So if there's a woman at the table, if you're the one at the table, you got to fight to keep the other women down because there's only room for one. That's just how we're taught.
Yep, exactly. It's so conditioned, because it's like, that's exactly how, you know, the patriarchy wants us to be. As long as we're fighting each other, as long as we're spending the money on things that like we might not need, and we keep, it's just, yeah, it's never fucking ending. As long as we have autonomy.
Yes.
In the early 20th century, Coco Chanel revolutionized women's wear. Oh, I love Coco. I love Chanel.
Me too.
Her signature skirt suit. Oh, fuck. I should have worn that.
Those pants.
Oh my God. Yeah, that too. But I have another tweed skirt suit.
Ooh, Chanel.
That I have. It's not Chanel.
Oh, I was
but
like,
it's a, you know, a dupe. It's amazing. And it's used tweed, and a fit that featured a straighter silhouette than in the past demanded the world take its wear more seriously. Chanel wore trousers, a then shocking choice that paved the way for women of the future. I love this look so much. I'm trying to think of like my favorite kind of look, and I don't know. There's something to that look where you're just so fucking feminine, but also powerful at the same time.
My favorite, and it's been for a while now where I feel confident in saying this, like a true aesthetic of mine versus just like, oh, this year I'm really into menswear. For me is it like men's, like, yeah, like oversized, and men's like blazers and menswear pants with a heel or like a crop top. Blending the masculine and feminine to me is everything.
Chef's kiss.
I love it.
I love it so much. And this is where we're at right now, guys. The Roaring 20s. During the Roaring 20s, women socialized with unprecedented boldness, ushering in a new era of boyish styles. The decade's most dramatic change was when flappers rejected corsets, obviously, and adopted bobbed hairstyles, breaking away from centuries of ideals of exaggerated femininity on a like long hair.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's like,
yeah.
It's so funny how
and the
I
flapper dresses, like the straight shift dresses where you don't see the shape underneath, was a rebellion at the time.
And that's happening now. I see a lot of those styles of like, I feel like a lot of the 2010s was a lot of, you know, the bodycon dresses and shit like that. And now I see a lot more, like skinny jeans are out now. It's fucking wide leg everywhere, but maybe straight, you know, boot cut fucking cigarette pants. But like mostly it's things that aren't adhering, not contouring the body as much.
And I didn't realize I had long hair my whole life, my entire life until like 2 years ago. And it's mostly out of laziness. I literally didn't do anything with my hair, and I'd trim it myself. And then I crept it up, and now I'm like, wow, I really like this short hair. And what I have heard, I get comments on my haircut a lot. And which is strange because I'm like, it's made me realize what I've heard from women a lot, including the woman who cuts my hair. She's like, wow, you're making me want to cut my hair again. And what I've heard from women, an alarming amount, is, you know, I want short hair too. And it's really messed up because we're so conditioned to think that men want long hair because men think long hair is sexy. And that is the comment I get more from women, more than just, I like your short hair, I want short hair. It's, wow, we're always taught that men want long hair, but I actually like the short hair.
Yep.
And it's alarming to me that they're not coming from a place of like, oh, I always liked long hair, but now I like short hair. It's, what? We're always told that men want long hair. And it just, it just goes to show that in our subconscious, like so many women, they're not getting their hair cut because they aren't sure. It's because they think men won't find it attractive.
Yeah, they're not sure if it will make them less feminine.
Yes, yes.
It's a source of femininity. It's a source of
Yeah.
femininity, which makes complete sense. You know, I know so many people, not so many, but like people that have unfortunately like gone through cancer and had to cut off their hair, and
Yes.
it's a very traumatizing experience. So I completely understand that,
Yeah.
but it's so freeing to know that you can cut off your hair, still be badass,
Yeah.
still be bold, still be feminine, and it doesn't fucking matter to anyone, not man, not another woman, whatever you're into, it doesn't matter, because as long as you're fucking confident, you can rock it.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's happening today. I mean, it's like it's so interesting. Like literally, this is the fourth turning. Like everything repeats itself. So I'm interested in the 30s. So the 30s, Hollywood stars like Katharine Hepburn abandoned skirt suits in favor of full-blown menswear. Like we're fully going into that. We will.
I love it.
100%.
Oh yeah, yeah.
World War II sent any type of excess out of style, and the West's focus on the conflict gave women more agency as they took on the workforce. Obviously, Rosa the Riveter represented a more utilitarian style that took over. Jeans, durable fabrics earned their place in women's wear. It's so interesting. So that's going to be like our 40s.
Yeah.
We're going to be like 40s, like
But
maybe moms is like full on jeans. And like,
It's so weird though, because everything comes back around and there's a reason for everything. Like women were only allowed to dip into the world of utilitarian denim and heavy duty fabrics because men were away at war and women were allowed to work now, so we could wear pants.
Thank you, sir.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. After so much rapid fire progress for feminism, the post-war society regressed back to traditional gender roles.
Ew.
So it's like the 50s, as far as like, that's what I meant of just like how they wanted us to be submissive. Now we go into that where women are encouraged to replace professional ambitions with shopping, and exaggerated femininity pioneered by Dior at the time experienced a rival. I love some Dior, but like for sure, tits. Remember, you know how tits are in the 50s?
Oh yeah, yeah. The pointy, also just like, it went back to the hourglass shape. And actually, I love an hourglass shape. That's not even, it's not about any shape is better than the other, but it's the fashions saying your waist must be small, your boobs must be up and out, and literally society encouraging women to replace professional ambitions with shopping. Did you hear that?
That's
when the advertising agency blew up. This is the Mad Men era. That is when advertising, when they realized that the biggest demographic of consumers is housewives. So everything was catered to them, and they were encouraged. There's nothing more. They were kicked out of the workforce. Husbands were back to work. They were once again forced / encouraged to be stay-at-home housewives, no longer working women. Rosie the Riveter. Society regressed in terms of women's fashion and their place in society when the men came back. And so it just becomes this thing of like, literally, let's just use capitalism let's entice them to spend their husband's money because we don't want them to work anymore. They can shop, and let's have them forget their professional ambitions. This is the world.
It's so funny.
Yeah. So in the late 60s, women's wear evolved again as second wave of feminism began alongside other social movements, most notably civil rights, obviously. This change in women's wear prevailed through the 80s, with youth resisting the status quo by showing skin. And Mary Quant invented the iconic miniskirt. And you know what's funny is my parents
high boots
made a baby book for me and my brother. Like when I was born, they each wrote like pictures and all this stuff. And they each wrote a little paragraph to me, like on the day I was born or right before I was born. And my dad, my mom's, I think it was my mom's, said, maybe it was my dad's. I don't know. I think my dad said like mini skirt. I was born in 89 and it was like mini skirts are back in, so I'm happy, or something like that. Or my mom was like mini skirts are back in, so your dad's happy.
Funny.
But that was in the 80s, and this is saying like Um, yeah, so the iconic miniskirt, and this is talking about the 60s through the 80s. So iconic model Twiggy broke boundaries by having a boyish figure that sent the extreme hourglass shape back out of style. The second wave of feminism also revived masculine styles for women. Anne Klein invented the power suit. So this the power suit in the late 60s, and it didn't reach its full force until over a decade later when androgynous stars such as Grace Jones became fashion icons. Third wave feminism came along in the 90s, and as Brittany Cooper points out, this book I'm reading right now called Eloquent Rage. Have you heard of that?
Oh.
A Black feminist discovers her superpower. She stated in this, one of the biggest battles that second wave feminists of the 70s had with third wave feminists of the 90s was over the place of sex and beauty in feminism. Second wavers critiqued high heels and lipstick as oppressive expectations of the patriarchy. And third wave feminists brought it back and were like, no, we're reclaiming this. And
Yes.
same with like the color pink and all this stuff that seen as too girly and feminine. It's just interesting because like women get caught, then it's like my feminism versus your feminism. Here's why are we fighting each other?
Yeah. This is what they want.
Yeah, it's true.
It's all, like I said, it's all about autonomy. It's understanding that femininity doesn't equal lesser than.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like any feminine trait, no matter whether it's perceived as shallow or internal, you know, like having feelings, you know, it's like, it's not lesser than, it's necessary for life. And it's fucks up over men as well.
I was just going to say, the patriarchy is not same as white supremacy isn't healthy for white people either.
Yeah,
the patriarchy is terrible for men too. You're telling men they can't express their feelings. They can't show any vulnerability.
They can't wear anything other than fucking jerseys and khakis. Anyway,
college.
The 90s though.
Yes.
The 90s grunge popularized unisex staples like flannels and ripped jeans. Female punk groups were at the forefront of these trends. Oh, I love it. These musicians reclaimed girly details like heart motifs and the color pink and gave them a new, tougher meaning.
Yeah.
I love a good 90s vibe with
I do too.
With like chain and like dark
like
lipstick.
This pink heart choker or not pink.
It.
What?
Locket? Is it a locket?
Heart locket. Oh. Yeah, the chain. It's just like things that were seen as overly girly and feminine, which are deemed lesser than in society, and then these punk female-led bands are going to bring it back and make it edgy, and it's all about just like reclaiming our time and our place in society. And
like currently, feminism's fourth wave is well underway, and fashion continues to play a big role, from Hillary Clinton receiving flack for her pantsuits and lack of femininity, and to last year's award show season when celebrities protested against sexual assault in the workplace by wearing all black, sporting Me Too pins. Again, autonomy.
Yeah.
Just completely always it's like intimidating.
Yeah. And also the irony is that like these big fashion houses that are determining women's fashion trends over the years have always been run by men. At the end of the day, the head of creative has been a man. A win for women in fashion occurred when major design houses appointed their first female creative directors ever. Happened for Givenchy in 2017. And for Dior in 2016.
Yikes.
First female creative directors ever. Meanwhile, these houses are determining what femininity is. Dior?
Yikes.
So, and Dior, the first female creative director, Maria Grazia Chiuri, I think is how you say it. She famously stamped the statement, "We should all be feminists," on a t-shirt for her debut collection in 2017's collection. While it's hard to predict the next decade's fashion trends, fashion has always been a reflection of the zeitgeist. So one thing that's certain is the close relationship between female leaders and the clothes that they wear. And I don't care how separated we think we are from it. Hillary Clinton no one can, like AOC's out there talking about like her red lipstick is a statement for her. And
when they were wearing white to represent the suffragettes.
Yes.
Yeah, remember all the women in the Senate and in Congress.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, like her frilly collars over her. Yes. And it's just things that I just wish, I personally have this, like, I just wish that society would stop seeing these things as frivolous and superficial and surface when they really are just like expression and they represent these deep facets of society, especially for women that are like really important.
And not just in Western culture, it's just all over the world. It's a sign of expression and where you came from. And go fuck yourself if you have a problem with it. Anyway, shout out Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
Shout out Eloquent Rage.
Oh, yeah. That's a really good book. I'm still reading it, but I recommend that.
Yeah. Shout out to our Patreon. Please subscribe to that. Shout out to Nija and Steve for being OG patrons. So follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the SOS Pod. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find us or your podcast. We're there. And rate and review us. It helps us reach more people.
I'm Molly Cottrell.
I'm Alyssa Rosano.
Here's to turning meltdown
into magic.